Hello everyone, today is 27th of March, now it's about 9 o'clock in the evening Moscow time. I'm Levan Gudadze and this is my main news update for the day. Initially this update will be available on my Patreon page and tomorrow morning on my YouTube and Rumble channels. If you want to see or listen to this video early on, please consider to subscribe to my Patreon page. That will be a great support for my work and this small media project of mine. Link is under this video in the description box and in the pinned comment. That's been said, let's talk about news now. And first of all, short summary of the situation on Ukrainian battlefield. According to reports from Russian media and Russian military channels, there was no crucial changes on any of the sectors of the front line. It's daily routine artillery duels between the sides, reckoning force operations, local scale skirmishes, and of course drone wars. Although, by the way, should be noticed that Russian Air Force is increasing its presence on the line of contact significantly, and more and more strikes have been conducted by Russian forces deep inside a line of contact, deep inside Kiev-controlled territory. And for example, today Russian media outlets and military channels reported about Russian strikes, Russian Air Forces strikes in Kharkov region direction. Some channels even reported that Russian aerospace forces targeted points of concentration of Ukrainian military personnel and equipment in Kharkov city itself, and also some industrial areas with glide bombs, which is a significant change in the tactics of Russian Air Force, because after all, Kharkov is on quite a distance from borderline, and if Russian Air Force feels safe enough to conduct strikes with the glide bombs towards Kharkov, that definitely can be interpreted as absence of more or less capable air defense lines in Kharkov direction on part of Kiev regime. If that's the case, then I guess Russian aerospace forces will further increase their strikes on positions of Kiev regime's forces all along the front line, not just in Kharkov direction. And it seems like that Russian engineers are constantly updating these glide bombs, kits for these glide bombs, and increasing range from which these glide bombs can be dropped by Russian planes. For example, today several channels also reported that in Nikolaev, this afternoon, by the way, late afternoon, explosions were heard in Nikolaev area, and some channels reported that once again Russian side used glide bombs, which I find quite difficult to believe, because from Nikolaev to line of contact it's quite a distance, really. But yet again, who knows? Hard to tell without photo or video confirmation. Hard to tell it was a glide bomb or maybe Iskander tactical missile strike, or maybe even Kinzhal strike. In any case, there were some explosions in Nikolaev this afternoon, that's for sure. I shared photo confirmation of that on my Telegram channel. And this is it when it comes to short summary of the situation on the battlefield. Of course, if you are interested in more detailed analysis of the situation on the line of contact, I recommend military channels. And if you are not familiar with military channels, under this video in the description box you can see a recommendation list of mine, of the channels that I follow, and among many channels you clearly can see military channels, also links to military channels, among them Military Summary, by the way, one of the biggest military channels that there is. Okay, that's been said, let's talk about some other news now. And RIA Novosti is reporting that Ukrainian armed forces conducted yet another terrorist attack on Russian soil, and this afternoon Ukrainian drone targeted administrative building in Belgorod, as a result of which one female was wounded and hospitalized. This was reported by governor of the region, Vyacheslav Gladkov, and of course medics are doing everything they can to save life of wounded person. RIA Novosti is also reporting about explosions that were heard in Nikolaev region, and Ukrainian media outlets confirmed, by the way, information about explosions, although of course no specifics being shared with the public what exactly was targeted. Most likely some industrial facilities, points of concentration of Ukrainian military personnel and equipment, and facilities where drones, among not just aerial drones but also maritime drones, are built or maintained. Maybe we will learn some more about these strikes, and if media or military channels will report about it, of course I will share additional information on my Telegram channel and the next updates. Vzglyad News paper is reporting that Kiev regime lost almost all Swedish-made STRV-122 main battle tanks on the line of contact. This was reported by Forbes media outlet, and according to this information, and by the way, STRV-122 is based on Leopard 2 tank, German made Leopard 2 A5 tank, although significantly modernized, especially in terms of armor, although this increased armor did not help those tanks to be safe, and as Forbes reports, majority of them were destroyed. And let me give you more specific information. Overall, Sweden delivered, transferred 10 STRV-122 tanks. 7 of them have been destroyed, and the rest of them are, as I understand, are not really battle ready. That they have some technical issues. In any case, whenever those 3 tanks will arrive on the front line, most likely they will last no longer than several hours, and then they are finished. TASS news agencies, and by the way, when it comes to modifications of Leopard tanks, it's not just STRV-122 Swedish tanks have been destroyed, but of course Leopard 2s themselves. And I reported in previous updates quite a number of times that vast majority of Leopard 2 tanks were destroyed or were out of order because of some malfunctioning that these tanks were experiencing, and Ukrainian side is not really hiding that to receive some details for these tanks, some spare parts, sometimes it takes several months, and therefore these Leopard 2s did not really help much Kiev regime to achieve anything, as it was expected, of course, initially. TASS news agency is also reporting that, and this is, by the way, quite important news, I guess. I don't know if Western media outlets reported about it, but Russian channels, initially, Russian Telegram channels, and after that, Russian media also pay attention to information that Polish Brigadier General Adam Marchak was killed, died, by the way, according to Polish armed forces. This Brigadier General died in undisclosed circumstances, but Telegram channels are reporting that this Brigadier General of Polish armed forces was killed in Ukraine, in Kosovo, to be more precise, during the recent Russian missile strike. During the Russian missile strike in that direction that happened 2 or 3 days ago, I believe. This is Kosovo, of course, not far away from Bakhmut, and according to some rumors, let's say, this Polish general was heading defensive operations of Kiev forces in Kosovo direction. At some point, high-ranking officers, not just this Polish general, but also some other Polish officers and officers of other NATO countries, were conducting some meeting in one of their buildings in Kosovo, and Russian military intelligence had information about it, and then according to some reports, Iskander missile was used to strike that location, and these high-ranking NATO officers were neutralized. This is very important, of course. This is very important. After all, Russian forces just recently established control over the Krasnaya or Ivanovskaya settlement, and now many military experts are expecting that Russian forces will start offensive operations directly on Kosovo city. And I remind you, if I may, that according to Russian Defense Ministry, in Ukraine, since the beginning of special military operation, already about 1,500 Polish citizens have been killed on the line of contact. All of them, or majority of them, were disguised as mercenaries, but well, experts have some doubts about it. Many are thinking that these people were militaries of Polish armed forces, that were acting as mercenaries. Warsaw most likely will find it very difficult to explain to its citizens how come that thousands of Polish citizens are dying in Ukraine, and same time casualty numbers are increasing in Polish armed forces, and more people are formally leaving Polish armed forces. Is there any connection there? Probably there is, and those questions must be asked or should be asked by Polish society, and I don't know if government of Poland will even try to answer to these questions. In any case, if this information is correct, by the way, then this Polish general was neutralized in Kosovo in Ukraine. This is clear message. Can be seen as a clear message from Russian side that Russian armed forces will neutralize everybody if they act as enemies of Russia on the battlefield. Everybody, no matter they are citizens of which country and represent armies of which country. This is quite clear message in that regard. RIA Novosti is reporting that Macron, by escalating with Russia, according to Bloomberg media outlet, by the way, Macron with the escalation with Russia and statements that EU or NATO forces can be and will be deployed in Ukraine to deter Russian advance, to deter Russian armed forces and their advance. By making this statement, Macron created turmoil inside the collective West, and not just in Europe. For example, at least formally, Germany's leadership was not happy with Macron's statements. Some other governments also, but even Washington is now not happy with Macron, and high-ranking military intelligence officers in US and high-ranking political figures are very critical, according to Bloomberg, because they think if NATO forces will be deployed in Ukraine and will get engaged in direct confrontation with Russia, that may provoke full-scale conflict between Russia and NATO, which will definitely mean eventually nuclear exchange and end of everything. And it is quite possible, quite understandable that adequate people in militaries and intelligence services in the Western countries, at least in some of the Western countries, are realizing how dangerous this further escalation with Russia is, and are trying to downgrade statements from Macron. Maybe they will have some talk with Macron's inner circle to make sure that leadership of France will not make any crazy moves. RT is reporting also that while Macron is criticized widely, not just outside of Western world, but also in collective West itself and in France itself, by the way. Same time, this individual, president of France, is struggling to justify continuation of the cash flow for Ukraine. This was reported by Le Monde, newspaper of the France. Let's go through this information here. It is extremely unclear how France can fulfill promises by President Emmanuel Macron to supply more military aid to Ukraine, as the government in Paris is currently struggling with the plans for spending cuts. Le Monde has reported French authorities are looking to save 10 billion euros, which is 10.8 billion US dollars, this year, aimed a budget deficit of 144.5 billion euros, which is 156 billion dollars, and the 2024 growth forecast reduced to just 1%. The French government said last month that the 10 billion euro cut could, among other things, be achieved by reducing the expenses of all its ministries and slicing public policies, including development aid and subsidies for building renovations. In such circumstances, the pledge by Macron to provide another 3 billion euros in support for Kiev this year to aid the conflict with Russia, made when France and Ukraine signed the 10-year bilateral security pact in mid-February, has turned into budgetary and political headache for his government. Le Monde reported on Tuesday lawmakers from Macron's ruling Renaissance Party say they regularly face questions from voters who cannot understand how the government can provide billions to Ukraine while planning spending cuts at home. Their paper said, people ask as why we are giving 3 billion to Ukraine. It's a lot of money. Renaissance PM Mathieu Lefebvre was quoted as saying. So yes, Macron is under more and more pressure. Macron, his government, his party, under more and more pressure because of his crazy policies, not just the statements that he's going to deploy French troops into Ukraine to fight Russia, which is insane, of course, but also because of his promises that he's going to provide billions and billions for Kiev regime while cutting spending in crucial directions inside the France itself. So, well, let's see how things develop, but I hope French society will wake up. Majority of French society will wake up and impose some pressure on Macron and his government to make some changes in their crazy policies. That will be best for France. That will be best way for everybody. And well, before I continue, dear friends, let me notice if I made it. This media project of mine is entirely subscriber funded, and if you find my videos interesting, useful, informative, if you find my channels interesting and ones that should be existed or should that deserve to exist in this field of news and political commentary, please consider to support my work with small donations through PayPal or Boosty. By the way, since I was cancelled on Buy Me Coffee, I'm using Boosty. It's it's the most popular platform for donations in Russia here among creators, and it's quite easy to operate with. You can subscribe if you want to. If you want to support in long terms, you can do single donation. It's there is some options here, and if PayPal and Boosty is not for you, then please consider to subscribe on my Patreon page, on which you also have options about on what level you may support. $5 a month, $10 a month, 20 or 50. Without your support, I wouldn't be able to continue this work. So it is what it is. All the links, by the way, are under this video in the description box and in the pinned comment. Now that's been said, let's continue with the news. Ukraine to receive 1.5 billion loan from World Bank. according to Prime Minister of Ukraine, Denis Shmyhal. Well, while Western states, some of the Western states are now struggling when it comes to financing demands of Zelensky and his criminal associates, they still have, of course, other instruments in their hands, including International Monetary Fund, IMF, and also World Bank. And both these institutions have been heavily used to finance this terrorist regime in Kiev for years now. And that's why I'm not at all surprised that the World Bank decided to give a loan, formally, by the way, loan of 1.5 billion to Zelensky's regime, while everybody knows in this world, everybody, that Ukraine not gonna pay back nothing. It's just so obvious, isn't it? But anyway, let's continue. RIA Novosti is reporting that Spanish militaries made quite interesting statement. According to news agency Europa Press, two Spanish boats, patrol boats, escorted Russian small flotilla of 3 warships. Two were, according to this reporting, two were large amphibious warships, and one was a tanker. And these Spanish boats escorted this Russian flotilla and reported about it if it's a big deal, something, you know, extraordinary. While we should always keep in mind that Russian armed forces, of course, are still presented in Syria. Russia has military bases in Syria, and of course continues to conduct supply and support operations of the Russian grouping of forces in this country. And I believe this small flotilla was headed towards Syria. Nothing extraordinary, but this news was reported as something is happening, you know, something big. And well, Russian Navy is next to Spain. And by the way, Spanish military even stated that these warships of Russia entered Spanish waters at some point for a short time, which is I don't think true. But even if they did cross for several minutes, it's not intentional in any ways. But I'm quite sure that Spanish militaries just were trying to bring some attention to themselves, because you know, it's not really a big deal to see Russian warships in open seas, and I don't think anybody in Russia has plans to conduct some amphibious operation on Spain anytime soon or ever. Anyway, let's continue. Times are so strange, by the way, and so difficult that you know, people are getting paranoid, really. Some people getting paranoid, and maybe some Spanish militaries, while see these amphibious warships, really think that, you know what, they're gonna attack us now, and some Russian offensive operation gonna begin, which is crazy, of course. Anyway, let's continue. Vzglyad newspaper is reporting that this is quite interesting. In United Kingdom, military experts studied battle capabilities, battle readiness of UK's armed forces, and well, conclusion was not very optimistic for London, for United Kingdom. According to British military experts, maximum 2 months that UK's armed forces will be able to sustain confrontation with Russian armed forces. Maximum 2 months, by the way. You know what? Let me translate several sentences here. Just a sec, dear friends. So, according to Telegraph, former parliamentary Undersecretary of the State for the Armed Forces, Mark Frankos, was asked, Britain will not last more than 2 months in a full-scale war with Russia, because we do not have the munition and the weapons reserves for this. Is that true? This individual was asked, and McGowan confirmed this information. McGowan confirmed this information. Other representatives of the British Armed Forces also expressed concern that the country is not ready for a long-term conflict due to cuts in defense spendings and shortage of the military personnel. This was reported by RIA Novosti. The Kremlin, although previously stated that European countries are pumping up public opinion with the messages about possible war with Russia in order to further sculpt their image of the further sculpt image of their enemy from Russia. And basically that's exactly what I'm saying. Western ruling elites are using this scaremongering tactic to basically allocate as much money as they want for military spendings. Let me translate this sentence also. And well, British military officials, including Deputy Chief of the Staff Robert McGowan, admitted that the British Army would not be able to hold out for more than 2 months in the event of full-scale war with Russia, British media reports. Wow, that's quite impressive to see that leadership of British Armed Forces, and this individual is Deputy Chief of Staff of British military, this Robert McGowan, and he's openly saying that yes, I mean they are not really up for a task when it comes to full-scale confrontation with Russia. Not really surprisingly, by the way, because we all know that the entire British Army is, I mean, not even capable to fill to Wembley Stadium. And I'm not exaggerating, by the way. I mean, you can put the entire British Army in Wembley Stadium and there will be enough space for entire militaries of several other NATO member states. Okay, let's continue, and let's hope, by the way, that there will be no full direct confrontation between Russian and NATO states. Nobody needs this. Nobody needs this, and as I said many times before, Western ruling elites are just using this scaremongering tactic to scare hell out of people in their countries and then manipulate with the taxpayers' money as way they wish, without any questions being asked. That's what they are doing, by the way, in reality. They are pumping up, basically, military-industrial complex. And themselves. Enriching military-industrial complex and themselves. RT is reporting that Trump tells Israel it made a big mistake. Former US President Donald Trump has warned that Israel is losing a lot of support and must finish up its war in Gaza before its reputation declines any further. The comments represented a rare moment of criticism of the Jewish state by Trump. In an interview with the Israeli Hayom, partially published on Monday, Trump said that he would have acted very much the same way as you did if the US was attacked, like Israel was attacked by Hamas in October. Only a fool would not do that, Trump added. However, Trump called Israel's wholesale destruction of civilian homes in Gaza a very big mistake. It's a very bad picture for the world. The world is seeing this every night. I would watch buildings pour down on people. Trump confirmed, go and do what you have to do, but you don't do that. He told the Israeli newspaper, and I think that's one of the reasons that there has been a lot of kickback. If people did not see that every single night, I'd watch and every single one of those. And I think Israel wanted to show that it's tough, but something you should be should not be doing that, but this is something you should not do. Basically, I can understand what Trump is saying. One thing is to combat Hamas, and very different is to demolish civilian livelihoods. And because of the actions of Netanyahu's government, support of Israel is in decline on lowest point, probably since the creation of this state, and therefore, I mean, this is just objective reality, and I don't know if Netanyahu's government will take in account all this or not, if they will take in account advice that they are receiving from the West or not, but they're definitely losing support worldwide. That's for sure. RT is reporting exactly because of destruction of livelihoods of ordinary civilians. RT is reporting that Vučić, president of Serbia, made yesterday very somewhat surprising and very strange, one may say, statements, and everyone was asking what is going on. So let me go through this news. Serbia is facing several extremely difficult days. President Aleksandar Vučić, president of Serbia, Aleksandar Vučić, has said, adding that the country's national interests are at stake. The Balkan nation has consistently opposed the efforts by its breakaway province of Kosovo to join international bodies, but the region has recently made headway in this respect. The Serbian leader posted a cryptic message on Instagram on Wednesday, warning that difficult days are ahead of Serbia, and that's at this moment it is not easy to say what kind of news we have received in the last 48 hours. Developments directly threaten the vital national interests of both Serbia and Republika Srpska, Vučić noted, without providing further details, saying only that he would introduce his fellow citizens to the challenges ahead in the coming days. Republic of Srpska is a partially autonomous Serb-dominated region within Bosnia and Herzegovina. And by the way, this evening, information became available in regards to this topic, that the Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe has approved the membership of the so-called Kosovo in Council of Europe, as reported by the organization. So maybe Vučić was talking about this development, or maybe something else is going on. As I mentioned, he had some encrypted messages, and I guess everyone was asking questions in Serbia and in Russia and in many other countries also, probably, what is going on. Maybe tomorrow he will make his statements more clear. Let's see. But in any case, let's hope there will be no military escalation in the Balkans. Okay, that's been said. Yes, RIA Novosti also reported, by the way, about this information, that Political Committee of Parliamentary Assembly of European Council approved the decision for Kosovo to become a member of European Council. So maybe Vučić was talking about this topic exactly, this development. Hard to tell. And dear friends, I will go through some headlines to make sure that this update is as short as possible. Commerçant newspaper is reporting that President of Argentine intends to remove from their offices some 70,000 state employees. Some shock therapy in Argentina by Javier Milei, and well, I understand that Argentinian society may not be happy with the decisions of Argentine government, but they voted for this clown that is president of Argentina now, and well, what else they were expecting, really. Also, RT is reporting that price of cacao beans surged to an all-time high on Tuesday, and supply constraints in West Africa, which produces about 70% of crop globally. Benchmark cacao futures is for May delivery on the international exchange in New York briefly spiked to over $10,000 US dollars per metric ton in intraday trading before later easing to trade at around $9,625 per ton. Okay, chocolate will become more expensive. Unfortunate news, but we can deal with this, I guess. TASS news agency is also reporting that Hungary, by the way, is highly satisfied with its partnership with Russia in the energy sphere and is going to expand cooperation in this area. Foreign Minister of Hungary, Peter Szijjártó, told TASS news agency in an interview, when it comes to the reliability and the effectiveness of our energy cooperation, we are absolutely satisfied. We have received so far all energy resources on time according to the contracts on the agreed and on the agreed price. So there is no reason why not to work on the further improvements and the further widening of this cooperation, Szijjártó stated. Well, okay, I don't think Russia is against this. Okay, a few more headlines. Belgian Euroclear is planning to confiscate 5 billion euros of Russian profits from Russian frozen assets. This will definitely not go down well among potential investors that were planning to invest anything at all into Eurozone. And Lentero is also reporting, by the way, that according to Reuters, friendly nations with Russia are experiencing some difficulties. Among them, China, United Arab Emirates, Turkey are experiencing some difficulties to pay for crude that they already received. And this is a big deal, of course. This is a big deal because banks are refusing to conduct transactions of the funds because they are afraid of secondary sanctions. And as I said in many times before, this information definitely one more indicator that it's extremely necessary for BRICS member nations to create alternative financial and banking system, alternative to the Western one, as soon as possible, because it's obvious that dependent of the world economy on Western financial and banking system is endangering now economies of the entire world, especially countries outside of Western world, because Washington, London or Brussels can use and are using these financial institutions of the West as a weapon against everybody and anybody they want. And okay, this is it for now. Hopefully you will find this update interesting, informative and useful, and if so, please consider to click that like button and leave some commentary just about anything, any topic. More likes and comments will help to deal with the algorithms on both platforms, on Rumble and YouTube, and will help me to reach wider audience. And for very same reason, if you can please share links to my videos or my channels with your friends on any of the platforms that you are active or you are actively using. And finally, I have to mention once again that well, if you find this channel interesting and useful, you can support my work with small donations through PayPal, Boosty, or by subscribing to my Patreon page. All the links are under this video in the description box and in the pinned comment. This is it for now. Have a great day and take care. Bye for now.